Hello there folks, SeKo Starcraft here bringing you a ZVT. We've got Hope up against mrOneTwo. Casted some games with Hope before, never anything from mrOneTwo, so let's see how he can impress here. It's Habitation Station where all things can happen and everything is crazy. Rocking some caffeine, so I've got a little bit of energy happening. We'll see what kind of craziness we can get out of this here. I almost never have a boring, stupid game when I play on Habitation Station. And it's not even just about the gold base. I just think the map, its size, just seems to have created a lot of really interesting stuff. And if anybody watches a lot of GSL games on Habitation Station when they do play with it, it's almost never a standard game. Like, it seems like so often Terrans are lifting up and taking the gold base, and then the Zergs figured out how to defeat that with a drone pull, and then Terrans learned how to wall off effectively enough to hold it off, and then Zergs learned how to do, really good Roach and Baneling busts against that on short mounts. So it made the Zerg versus Terran matchup really exciting to watch. Particularly with mech. I think this map is great for mech. I mean, there's obviously the fly distance for drops, but because there's a lot of really narrow spaces, good siege up zones in the middle, mech for me on this map is super fun. Same with swarm hosts. That's got my slow, painful BS that I'm sure most people find annoying style. Slow versus slow. It's kind of a cool little logo. Vega Squadron. Sick. So sick. Anyways, looks like we're going to have a Reaper opening. Who doesn't Reaper open as Terran anymore? It's, well, unless you're going 2 racks. It just seems like it's always what happens. And some people were saying, I was, watching some different videos about Terran, that that's a big part of imbalance right now, that Terran has to open that way, because there's not many other viable opening strategies. And I would agree with that to some extent when you're playing maybe against a Protoss or something, but I think it's just because the Reaper opening is a very light investment that allows you to get out such great scouting and just intro into map control. And I think that's why I like it a whole lot. It's not just because I need to use it in order to be able to defend. You can just make anything else to defend. This strategy just allows you to understand what your opponent is doing and then therefore react accordingly. You're already getting gas, so moving into a factory and Banshee against Zerg is pretty common. Or you can maybe even just go for a quick 2 command centers, which is something that I would like to start trying a little bit. Sometimes playing in the basement leagues, people just, they don't take for such things, and then they will come bum rush you. Pardon me. Pretty good timings on everything here out of our Zerg player. Queens are on the way. The Reaper will be here before those queens take effect. But there isn't anything really over here on the lower base for it to kill. 4 Zerglings being made right now. I think that the Zerg player has a little bit more constraint when it comes to dealing with these openings. I've found myself very, very much going for fast gas and speed and using an excess amount of Zerglings early on just to deny any Hellion and Reaper play. Once you can deny that and take the map control, you're in such a great spot, particularly in the lower leagues where people play very all-in behind their opening strategies. Wow, get him. Wow, bad control out of mrOneTwo there. Very rare you see that opening Reaper go down. Now the difficulty for him is that's kind of his ability to scout later. He's not making any more. So we'll see how Hope capitalizes on that. If he's just going to go for a faster third base, which that allows you to do. Or just kind of still stick to what his strategy was before that. Yes. Going to use his barracks as part of the wall off. Sometimes that means we were going to see mech. No, not always. One Zergling does actually just completely run up into here and see the starport going down to the front. We'll actually focus down on one of the SCVs. And got pretty close on that, got a little bit of damage in. Sees what he needs to, sees the timing of the orbital, saw the starport going down. Starports are ways off. Hope's a bit supply blocked here. So now it's more important for him to try to get down the defense in time. And I've actually run into some really, really aggressive Banshee play that if you don't really move into your lair tech for detection, mobile detection, extra queens, and maybe even mutas, it becomes very difficult to deal with that early Banshee pressure. Banshee against Zerg is almost always a great bet because you can help, shut down any types of attacks. They're coming in your front door, control the map. We see a Roach Warren going down. We'll see if that's a defensive Roach Warren, or if he's using that to maybe go for some 3 base ultra pressure here, which is very common. when you see somebody going for this kind of composition at the front. Does see the tech lab going there, so he should know that it's cloaked banshees on the way. So his roaches are going to be a little bit stifled if he decides to go for a lot of them. More queens in production now, wants to have out good anti-air. A banshee will essentially take on a queen, and smartly Hope is actually getting down creep between all of his bases here, so that way his queens can help defend even more effectively. mrOneTwo trying to knock down as many creep tumors as he can, and he manages to actually get 3 or 4 there. Wasn't too bad. Spores going down at each base just to make sure he has that detection. Layers a long ways off. Well, about halfway done. No drones down here yet. This is very smart as a Zerg player. Wait to saturate this third base up. Sometimes it seems exciting to maybe even pull a few drones down here, start saturating it. Very difficult to defend both fronts when those Hellions are out on the map. Do we see the first Banshee? There it is. Just sitting at the front. Spore Crawler's going to move into position. There are some roaches out here now, which will buffer this spore getting out here. And these Hellions are essentially going to have to fall back home. It is going to be mech, hooray! He's actually rallying out to the front. Might see a fast gold base, maybe? Or is he going to just come down here? Not sure. Zergling's just running around everywhere, making sure no silly bases are going down. This is going to start getting saturated up. And there's a spore in each of these mineral lines at the appropriate spot. Lots and lots of Hellions out right now. The good thing is that we do have lots of roaches, and we do have queens in position here. Now, these Hellions and Banshees are actually just tangling with this. A little bit of an overextension, does not want to get into range of that there creep tumor. There's not a lot here for the Zerg player. If these roaches go down, he's in a bit of trouble. He's in a spot of bother, you might say. Might swing around. The creep does show this. Does need to get some mobile detection in here, though. He really needs to get himself out something that can help him just pick these off a little bit easier. I'm surprised these roaches are pushing out this far. Speed is not quite finished yet. Sure, he wants to put on some pressure here, but he's probably going to lose all these roaches. There should be something getting close to done at home to help deal with this. Is there a tank on the way? Not yet. Going up to 5 factories on 2 bases, so he's going to have out all of his required technology, essentially, all of his production facilities. Now it's just going to get his economy in place. We do have the Spire being made right now. Once again, I don't see any Overseers in this mix, and he can afford them. That's part that kind of surprises me a bit. There it is. So why is that guy so beat up? Queen's going to keep moving that creep along. He should know that he's going up against mech now, right? Yeah, he's seen the factories, so he should know that it's mech. Tanks are out now. Making tanks 2 at a time. Upgrades are now happening. Slightly behind the Zerg player who just made a giant round of drones. And Blue Flame is now underway. 77 workers to 52, so the Zerg's in a good spot. Banshee has 9 kills on it. The other one has 6. I'm not sure if their creep tumors count as kills. I'm pretty sure they do. So I don't know how many of those are actually, effective units or not. Drone transfer over here is you're going to need some static defense down at these. Once you're going up against this very immobile mech army, the only things they really can do is harass with Blue Flame Hellions. So you generally want to get those out. Pretty big supply crunch happening right now for mrOneTwo. Supply blocked huge. He's not making any more supply depots at the moment. 2 Thors. Double Hellions. Spire is finished, but I don't think we saw... There's the Mutas. Some missile turrets in place, not a lot. It should be enough to deal with the first round. And here are those soon-to-be Blue Flame Hellions I was talking about. There's no vision down here. 1 spine in production. Terran players should be able to get in a lot of kills. Some Zergling's going to come in to try to deal with this. Blue Flame's about to finish up. He's trying to hide these drones. Really doesn't want to lose those if he's got a choice. Queen's waddling over. He's got to run the drones. 1 good shot could take out so many. No, he manages to clean them up in time, but he does see the Mutas out now. When you're playing against mech, you can afford to put a few overlords across the middle of the map just to make sure about those kinds of run-bys. Roach run-by. Why not? No planetary down here. He might be able to use the roaches in conjunction with the mutas to be able to do some two-sided harass here. Already starting to get out a really good air comp, which I like. Sometimes you see Terran players who are playing this mix delay that Raven count so long. Swarm hosts are already on the way, and if you don't really have that Raven count out, you can find yourself really in a tight spot when it starts coming to defending against that. Thor will drive. Oh no, keep running the mutas. This happens so much to Zerg players. They think they run their mutas far enough away, but they're still in range. Even here, the Thor could get off some shots. The difficulty about this map when playing just about anything with Terran is the Sim City you gotta build to make sure units can get out. Pretty tough. Lots of missile turrets going down. I'm a huge advocate of the over missile turreting. If you're playing this style, you don't want to be running your mech back home to try to deal with these kind of attacks. You need it all together to deal with the swarm hosts that are coming out. Pneumatized Carapace happening for that Overlord speed. He wants to make sure his Overseers can keep up with his Mutas. This game is about to get real. And I do love the really aggressive swarm host placement here. I know when I watch even people... Ooh, Seeker Missiles will dud. Even when I see people like Stefano playing this style, sometimes they leave the swarm host really at home, way out of the way, as opposed to boxing their opponent in. I'm a big fan of trying to get the swarm hosts out quickly and boxing up your opponent as quickly as possible. Not many workers killed. He's only killed 5, but he's going to get a lot of Zerglings with that line up there. He must have run a bunch of them away, because it didn't seem like he lost that many there. The Muta Swarm Host mix, I do really enjoy playing that. It allows you to use those Mutas to be mobile and just clip a few things off. Some Zerglings over here trying to deny a potential 4th. Double command center. If you're playing this style as Terran, use your money into more command centers, get those planetaries, get those orbitals. And we're starting to get a really sick Swarm Host count up here. The only thing he's missing is the stack defense, because he's got somebody he's playing against that already has a pretty good air composition. What he really needs to have is the spore crawlers and, you know, these other static defenses that'll keep his units alive. Another blue flame run by. There's still only the one spine. A couple more. Nope, those are spores finishing up. So he should actually be able to clean up a couple of bases here pretty easily. Mutas are going to head home to try and clean it up. But we'll see how good Hope is at this style. There's a finesse you can have to playing the Swarm Host Terran style. We're going to see a lot of drones probably go down right now. He's going to keep running. The gold base has been taken by our Zerg player. There's one Swarm Host here just chilling. He has split up his Hellions quite nicely here to do as much damage as possible. We do have all of our locusts keeping the Terran contained on this side. How much damage did he get done now? He's up to 24, so we got about 19 or so workers in that comp. The good thing about what Hope is playing is it's a very cost-effective army, so he doesn't need as many workers. He's down to, what is that, 75 still? That's decent. Once again, he's starting to build up some bank. I would like to see these static defenses. Zergling's going to put some pressure on. It's actually getting a little bit of damage with these locusts here. You generally shouldn't be seeing that with somebody that's getting the Raven composition out. But he supply blocks pretty heavily once again. Locusts aren't rallying to a great spot right now, unfortunately. Planetary is going to go down. And I'm hoping he's going to get some more stacked defenses. It doesn't seem like he's really learning that there's been, you know, 5 or 6 Blue Flame Hellion runbys already this game. Oh, that's one way to deal with Hellion runbys. Looks as though the Mutas did get into the base. Nice poop on the starports here. Looks like he's trying to pick off the gas. Either that or he's just not controlling that well. He's going to take a fair bit of damage on the exit. Upgrade still chunking along. Huge bank though, and this is where you got to start making lots of static defense, I say, as a Zerg player. You know, put a few spines and spores just in random spots and all the chokes. Anything that gets by, you'll be able to deal with, no problem. Another blue flame run by. Zerg player should see this. Let's see how quickly he can deal with it though. Not much down here to kill. Up here, there's actually not much saturation at this base. That queen should go down here. Maybe not, actually. Mutas will clean that up. We're having a really good turtle out of the Terran right now. Starting to build up a really sick... Well, not that many ravens. I'd actually expect to see more. I like getting the huge raven flock up where you can start just bombing the hell out of swarm hosts. Gonna get a great catch here on this side. We get a lot of unit kills. These ravens are not being effective enough. This is a really great thing you can do as a Zerg player if you're getting frustrated against Terran mech turtling. Use these very cheap Zergling runbys when you've got the sick amount of bank, just to be able to run in and do damage to the main, because a lot of the times it's not as defended. Looks like he finally is breaking that down. mrOneTwo is starting to crumble here a bit. Supply blocked pretty badly once again. Mutas aren't going to be as effective, but without the point defense drones down here, but they're going to get gobbled up pretty fast. There's a few stack defenses in here. What this is really good for is eventually you want to transition into Vipers and start pulling units, even air units, into your comp. Queen's getting a little pushed forward there. Should want to save those. I don't know if he's throwing away these Mutas on purpose here. Really, really throwing these Mutas away. He's got a ton of bank, so it doesn't bother me too much. He's making a bunch more. Just doing a sick, almost suicide attack. But he's killing off a lot of units. There should be some, some SCVs, there we go, in this composition to start repairing this up. More Blue Flame Hellions, lots of spines in this mineral line here. Such an aggressive position, and when you're this close, this is where these Ravens, if you have enough of them, can throw down a few Seekers, and it takes, I think, 2 Seekers to kill 1 Swarm Host, but it'll damage so many in the vicinity. If you have these Thors to keep the Mutas back, sometimes you can do a pretty good job. Nice pick-off, grabs a free Raven. Free Ravens are the best kind of Ravens if you're playing against Terran. Mutas trying to magic box over some Thors here. He's going to lose a pretty big bunch of them again. Well, no, maybe he's got finally enough here to crack it. Doesn't want to stick it out, though. Only a couple missile turrets here to defend all of this. Thor's on the high ground. And it's still just Muta Thor. Starting to make a few more stack defenses and just random spots. There's been... Ooh, nice pickup on those. There's just been so many run-bys from the Terran player that it's... you might as well find some way to deal with it, right? This base has been unharassed this entire time. Muling the hell out of it. He's actually focusing down the command center, which I think is... Oh, he will pick it up just in time. Ravens, just about enough money for some Seeker missiles here. There he goes. He does separate out. Actually, he managed to duck a bunch of those Seeker missiles. Great control out of Hope. And more free Ravens. mrOneTwo is pretty gas starved right now, and everything he needs to make is very gas expensive. Okay, GG. Finally he's going to give it up. Great play out of Hope there. I think mrOneTwo had some pretty good harass going on, but just I don't think got out a great enough, air composition to deal with what was going on from that Zerg player. Super fun. I like this style. I hope you guys do as well. SeKo Starcraft. Thanks for watching. We'll talk with everybody later.